I've never been a fan of office parties. They always come off as stiff, with folk stumbling through clumsy chit-chat, faking smiles like they're all buddies, and the bosses pretending they're one of us when we all know they're not even close. My wife, Diana, though, she eats that stuff up. She's totally in her zone at these shindigs, cracking jokes, laughing her head off, and winning over every single person without even trying. This time, she begged me to tag along, swearing it'd be a blast and that I needed to quit being such a hermit. So, there I am, parked by the bar, clutching some weak, watered-down drink, forcing a grin while this dude yammers on about the stock market like I give a damn. Across the room, Diana's holding court with a bunch of her work pals, her voice cutting through the chatter. I catch that laugh of hers, the one she used to save just for me when she was trying to make me feel special, now aimed at anyone she wants to dazzle. Then, out of nowhere, it hits. She peels away from her little fan club and heads my way, her heels clicking sharp against the fancy marble floor. Except she's not alone. There's this guy right beside her, walking a shade too close for my liking. He's tall, decked out in a suit that screams money, and he's got this cocky vibe rolling off him like he's daring me to pay attention. Believe me, I notice. Diana's face. Blank as a slate, no hints there. But this guy? He's smirking, not some warm, nice to meet you smile, but a smug little twist of the lips that knots my gut, like he's got some secret I haven't cracked yet. Like he's already got the upper hand in a fight I didn't sign up for. Before Diana can even open her mouth, he sticks out his hand. So, you're her husband, huh? His voice is slick, rehearsed, not really asking, just stating it like he's already got me figured out. That's when it sinks in, this heavy, sick feeling in my stomach. Something's off, don't know what or how, but I can feel it deep down. I shake his hand anyway, managing a tight nod. Yeah, that's me. And you're. He lets out this little chuckle, shooting a quick look at Diana before answering. What, she hasn't told you about me? It's playful, but it's got this edge, like he's talking down to me. I'm Julian. We work together. I glance at Diana, waiting for her to jump in, brush it off with a laugh, explain it away, something. But she freezes for a split second, and that tiny pause says more than words ever could. I swallow hard, the lump in my throat growing. Nice to meet you, I choke out, sounding stiff and fake even to myself. Julian leans in a bit, dropping his voice just low enough for Diana to catch it but not loud enough to draw a crowd. She's really something, isn't she? He says, then claps me on the shoulder, except it doesn't feel friendly, more like a jab dressed up as a pat. I'm stuck there, mind spinning, trying to piece together what's going down, what I'm picking up on, what's slamming into me all at once. Diana's eyes flicker, guilt. Nerves, but it's gone too fast to pin down. Excuse us, she blurts, grabbing my arm and yanking me off toward a quieter corner before I can even process it. She drops my arm as quick as she grabbed it, tucking her hair behind her ear, her tell when she's got something to hide. Don't make a big deal out of it, she says, way too breezy. My chest tightens up. A big deal out of what, exactly? She laughs, too loud, too fake. Julian's just messing around. That's his thing. I stare at her, hunting for something to cling to, some sign I'm wrong to feel this way. I don't find it. I'm not imagining this, something seriously messed up. I don't say a word at first, just stand there, locking eyes with her, letting the silence stretch out heavy between us. She stares back for a beat, then drops her gaze to her drink, the floor, anywhere but me. Don't start, she sighs, like I'm the problem here. I'm not starting Jack, I shoot back, keeping my voice level. I'm just trying to figure out why your buddy's acting like we're squaring off in some damn showdown. She lets out this sharp little laugh, shaking her head. You're blowing it out of proportion. Except I'm not. My gut's yelling at me, and after all these years, I know it doesn't lie. Diana's dodging, like she always does, turning it into a punchline, making me out to be the crazy one. But tonight? Tonight's different. Something's shifted, and I'm damn well gonna get to the bottom of it. I sucked in a deep breath, doing my best to keep my voice from shaking. Diana, is there something you're not telling me? Her head jerked up quick, and for just a heartbeat, I caught something flash across her face, guilt, maybe, or irritation, or hell, even a flicker of fear. She's usually cool as ice, but right then, she looked shaken up. Not here, she hissed under her breath, her eyes darting around the room like someone might overhear. I followed her glance. Folks were laughing, knocking back drinks, wrapped up in their own little worlds. Nobody gave a damn about us. I leaned in a touch closer. Not here. What's that mean? I can't ask my own wife why some stranger's treating me like the punchline of a joke. She let out a short, sharp breath and plunked her glass down on the table next to us. I already told you, Julian's just a flirt, it's how he is with everybody. It doesn't mean a thing. Harmless, she called it. I nodded real slow, chewing over what she said. Man, I wanted to buy it, I swear I did, but the pieces weren't fitting together right. Sure, I said after a beat, harmless. Her shoulders loosened up a bit, like she figured she'd talk me off the ledge. But I wasn't letting it go that easy. So, if I walked over and asked him how long he's been harmlessly flirting with you, what's he gonna say? Her face tightened up, lips pressing into a thin line. That's not fair, and you know it. Fair. I almost barked out a laugh right there. I was gearing up to push harder when somebody hollered her name from the other side of the room. She flashed me a tight, fake smile and bolted, grabbing her out like it was a lifeline. I watched her walk off, my gut twisting into knots. I'm not dumb, I can smell trouble a mile away, and this stunk to high heaven. That was my first hint something was rotten. I didn't go after her again that night. Instead, I played the good husband gig, grinning, nodding along, trading small talk with whoever drifted by. But inside, I was coming apart. The way she dodged me, the way Julian smirked like he owned the place, the way she stumbled over a simple question, it all chewed at me. We got home, and she bolted straight for the bedroom, muttering about being wiped out. I trailed in a few minutes later, only to see her already buried under the blankets, turned away from me. Night, she mumbled, barely audible. I didn't sleep a wink, just lay there, eyes glued to the ceiling, listening to her breathe slow and steady. Was I making this up in my head? Was I blowing it out of proportion? I tilted my head, watching her shoulders rise and fall soft in the dark. Nah, I wasn't crazy. And I was damn well gonna prove it. Next morning, Diana bounced back like nothing happened, pecked me on the cheek and breezed out the door. The second she was gone, I did something I never thought I'd stoop to, I grabbed her phone. She'd never hidden the passcode from me, maybe that's why my hands shook as I punched it in. Part of me was praying I'd come up empty, that I was just paranoid. But the second her messages loaded, my blood turned to ice. There he was, Julian. Nothing in their texts was straight up damning, no smoking gun I could wave in her face, but the way they talked. Too cozy, too close. Last night was a good time, he wrote. You looked killer. Her reply, you're always saying that. Then him again, 'cause it's true. When we doing it again? And her, I'll let you know, can't chat now. I stared at that screen, my brain running 100 miles an hour. When we doing it again? Doing what again? My grip tightened on the phone, chest squeezing so hard I could barely breathe. I scrolled up for more, but it was a dead end, everything before that was scrubbed clean. She'd erased their old stuff. My hands were trembling as I set the phone back where it was. This wasn't harmless. This wasn't some innocent work buddy crap. I'd just stumbled into a freaking nightmare I didn't see coming. I sat there, eyes locked on that damn screen, my pulse hammering in my ears. The words started blurring, but I didn't need to see them again, they were seared into my skull. Last night was fun. When we doing it again? I swallowed hard, my fists clenching tight. I'm not the type to leap to wild theories, but that gut punch I felt at the party. It wasn't lying. Something was up. Diana was feeding me a load of bull. I took a slow breath and slid her phone back exactly how I'd found it. Couldn't tip her off, not yet. If I called her out now, she'd just spin more lies, wipe more texts, bury it deeper. No way. I needed solid proof, something she couldn't talk her way out of. So I spent the rest of the morning faking normal, going through my usual routine like a robot. But my head? It was a damn hurricane. Looking back, I started kicking myself for brushing off all those little signs, times Diana rolled in late from work, the sudden boom in office happy hours, those nights she'd dodge me with a tired, not tonight. Had it all been building up to this mess? I needed to know the truth, no matter what. That night, when Diana strolled through the door, she acted like everything was peachy, flashed me a smile, pecked my cheek, and asked how my day went. I played it cool. Oh, you know, same old grind, I said, plastering on a grin. What about you? She stretched her arms high and let out this big, fake yawn. Brutal day, back-to-back meetings. Didn't even grab a bite, till late. Bull. I knew she'd found time to shoot texts to Julian. I just nodded. Rough one, huh? So, what's on deck for the weekend? She paused, a quick hiccup I didn't miss, before answering. Oh, probably just chilling at home, maybe a flick or something. I locked eyes with her, feeling something snap inside me. She had no clue I was onto her, piecing it all together. Right then, I swore I'd dig up every damn thing she was hiding. Later, while she snoozed next to me like a baby, I kicked off my hunt. It started small, flipping through phone bills, scrolling her social media, hunting for any red flags. But Diana? She's sharp. If there was dirt, she'd buried it deep. I needed to step it up. Then it hit me, her car might spill the beans. Next morning, once she'd peeled out for work, I snagged my spare key and headed outside. If she was slipping around behind my back, there'd be some kinda trail. At first, the car looked clean, nothing weird. But then I popped the glove box, and my gut plummeted. There it was, a crumpled receipt from 2 nights back. A hotel. Felt like someone sucker punched the wind out of me. That little slip of paper was my nightmare coming true. My hands shook as I clutched it, staring at the address, not even a half-hour drive away. Every sane part of me screamed to cool off, take a breather, think it through before I did something dumb. But I couldn't sit still, I had to see it myself. 20 minutes later, I rolled into the hotel lot, my hands locked so tight on the steering wheel my knuckles glowed white. It was one of those cookie-cutter business joints, plain, low-key, perfect for flying under the radar. I walked inside, heart hammering, brain buzzing with what-ifs. No plan, just raw panic pushing me. I strolled up to the front desk, forcing my voice steady. Hey, my wife forgot something here a couple nights ago, think it's still in the room. Any chance you could check? The clerk barely flicked her eyes up. Name on the booking? I froze for a sec. If I threw out Diana's name and it wasn't her reservation, I'd look like a creep. I took a shot in the dark. Julian. She tapped the keyboard a few times and nodded. Yep, had to stay under that name. My throat tightened. Room number? She shook her head. Can't give that out, sorry. Figures. I forced a weak smile. No sweat, just thought I'd ask. I turned and bolted out, my stomach doing flips. It was real, Diana had been here with him. Sitting in my car, I gripped that receipt for what felt like hours, my mind racing a mile a minute. I couldn't drop this, not now. If I went at Diana with this, she'd lie through her teeth, flip the script, make me feel nuts. Nah, I needed proof she couldn't wiggle out of, I needed to catch M red-handed. And I had a hunch I knew where they'd turn up next. I fired up the engine, taking a long, slow breath. If Diana thought she could play me with some secret double life, I was about to flip on the floodlights and expose every corner she'd kept dark. The drive home was dead quiet, my hands choking the wheel, that cursed receipt glaring at me from the passenger seat. It was like a slap in the face, screaming every fear I'd tried to shove down. No more second-guessing, no more excuses, Diana was stepping out on me. But I wasn't gonna storm in and call her out, not yet. The last day had taught me she's slick, too slick. Wiped texts, covered tracks, acting like butter wouldn't melt in her mouth. If I pointed fingers now, she'd deny it flat out, maybe even turn on the waterworks and swear I was seeing things. Nope. I had to catch her in the act. So I started plotting, laying the trap. That night, when Diana waltzed in, she acted like the world was still sunshine and rainbows. Diana breezed through the door, kicked her heels off and planted a quick kiss on my cheek. That floral perfume of hers hit me hard, sweet, overpowering, the kind that used to settle my nerves. Now it just twisted my stomach into knots. "How'd your day go?" she asked, tugging her hair up into a messy ponytail. I slapped on a fake grin. "Oh, you know, the usual grind. How about you?" She stretched out with this big, dramatic groan. "Rough one, meetings non-stop. Barely had a second to breathe. What a load." I nodded like I was buying it. "Still good for that movie night this weekend?" Her face twitched, just a flicker, before she flashed a smile. "Oh, shoot, I totally forgot, I might have to pull a late shift Friday." Inside, I was boiling, but I kept my cool. "Late shift, huh?" "Sure, just like that, late shift at the hotel with Julian." This was my shot. She was lining up another hookup, and I was gonna nail her on it. The next morning, I tossed out a lame excuse about staying late at work myself. Diana didn't even blink, if anything, she looked like I'd just handed her a free pass. Perfect. That meant she had plans brewing. I rolled out like normal, but instead of heading to the job, I parked a couple blocks down and hunkered down to wait. At 6:15 on the dot, she stepped out, way too dolled up for some office gig. Tight black dress hugging her curves, heels clicking, makeup dialed up to flawless. My chest squeezed tight as I watched her slide into her car and peel out. I gave it 5 minutes, then tailed her. She cut across town, blowing past eateries and office towers, and pulled right into that same damn hotel lot from yesterday. I felt like puking. I'd known it was coming, but seeing it play out live hit different, harder. I parked far enough back to stay off her radar, my pulse thumping in my ears. She climbed out, smoothed that dress down, and strutted into the lobby like she owned the place. A minute later, Julian's car rolled up. Watching it go down, I had to fight to keep my head straight, my hands were clamped so tight on the wheel I swore it'd crack. They met up like it was old hat, no nerves, no glancing around, just her grabbing his arm and giggling at whatever slick line he fed her. Then they waltzed inside together, easy as you please. I could hardly suck in a breath. Part of me wanted to charge in, yank him up by his fancy collar, and make him spill it. I wanted to force her to look me dead in the face and explain this crap. But I held back. Instead, I fished my phone out of my pocket.